The information presented is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are not necessarily the opinions of any Daikin company. This information should not be confused for accounting, legal, medical, or other professional advice. Please seek advice from a qualified professional for any specific questions.
Welcome to the Accelerated HVAC Success program. My name is Ben Middleton. I'm the National Sales Training Manager for the Goodman Amana Daikin brands. Today, we are joined with Doug Little. He is the president and co-founder of Payzer. Doug, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Always a pleasure to come and do another podcast with you. I appreciate it.
So today, we're going to be talking about e-commerce a little bit.
Yes.
You know, we can think about e-commerce from a standpoint of an HVAC contractor going to the homeowner, and I think we're starting to see more and more benefits and value for that as far as contractors building that side of their business out. But when we think of e-commerce from the contractor back to distribution, how have you seen that change in the last couple of years?
Well, you've definitely seen a demand for a change, basically a streamlining of the process. It used to always be make a phone call to a territory sales manager at 7:30 at night because you've been out all day doing work, and now you're going on your bids to get more work after hours, so to speak, for most folks. But we know for our contractor brethren, they're out there, they're working around the clock, right? So you're out there at 7 o'clock at night. You want to present something to a homeowner, but you can't confirm that it's available or in stock or what my price might be, right? I may have written it down on a piece of cardboard last time I did this, and that demand for some efficiencies into the process to be able to have information really at their fingertips is driving the adoption really of what we would call e-commerce, being able to look up my product, look up possibly AHRI matchups, look up my pricing for each one of those components of that system, compile my total cost, and then is it available? Well, then I could present it to a homeowner now, make that sale, confirm that sale, and also schedule the install right there in your fingertips. So there's a demand for that has changed basically because of the basic technology adoption that's been going on, as we spoke about in previous podcasts, right? You got this technology adoption that's going on where it's not only the contractor, but the homeowner. You're here. What do you mean you don't know what to sell me, right?
Right.
So, you know, they expect that you're going to walk in, tell them what the issue is, and tell them what their options are. They want to confirm the sale because they basically want their air conditioning back on as soon as possible, or their heat for that matter, right? And they just expect that you can deliver that to them right then, not let me follow up with you, because then they go to bed that night sweating in their home wondering, what's this going to cost me still? And all that builds up, right? When is it going to get done? This guy couldn't even tell me what I was allowed to buy. How am I going to trust him to install it in a timely manner? I could be 3, 4, 5 days living like this, right? So that's the demand coming from the consumer that's also driving this e-com adoption in the contractor space as well.
Yeah, we see almost this instant gratification that everybody wants. I mean, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at the experience that Amazon gives us today.
I made the joke the other day. We were doing a presentation with one of your partners, and someone had to send something to someone, right? Like, here, let me shoot you that over to your phone. And everyone, like the whole room was like paused and waiting for it to go through for the guy to respond. And it maybe took 5 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. And I made the joke, like, yeah, that just went up to a satellite, back down to Earth. And we're all like, geez, boy, that's taking forever. It took forever, right? Like, insane, right? I mean, it used to be you have to write a letter or go find it or print it or whatever it was. So just that whole demand for just instantaneous, response to things. My air conditioning's out. What can I buy? Which I know we're only at the beginning stages of this evolution too, right? We've got homeowners have adopted Amazon. They buy everything that they need right on their phones. The contractors are now, because of that demand, starting to adopt an electronic e-commerce solution to look up, as we said, but then also purchase as well without having to make a phone call to the territory sales manager or make a phone call to the branch and hold. You're wasting your time. You feel like you're wasting your time. You're sitting on hold, but the guy's busy. He's got 20 contractors all calling at the same time. So there's been that drive for just more instantaneous speed of transactions. And that's what's been driving it that we see.
So, I mean, e-commerce with distribution is not necessarily a new thing. It's been around for a while, and we've seen more and more adoption there. What is Payzer doing to really make this adoption easier, more streamlined for the field, so that they can integrate with those tools that are out there?
Right. So you mentioned there's a couple of words you used there: easier, more streamlined. Right. That's the goal that we're chasing. So Payzer, we've built what the field, everyone calls us a field service management software. It's an end-to-end business solution that a contractor uses to run his entire business on. So you've got the CRM portion, the scheduled dispatch, the job management piece. You've got invoicing, you've got payments, you've got financing, all those things, proposal comparisons, and all that in one system. So that's what we're driving at for the ease and convenience now. We've done an integration with Daikin. We're the first one to pull this off, so we're proud of that, and thank you for Daikin for granting us the opportunity. So what we've done through integration or through the use of APIs, if there's any technical folks out there listening, right, we're able to pull in the Daikin product information. So it's called PIM data, right? Product information management, right? What that means is all the Daikin products, the pictures, descriptions, specifications, features, and such are all now living inside Payzerware in the section that we call the Daikin Supplier Catalog. Now, for an individual contractor, what that means is all the products that I buy from Daikin are now in my Daikin Supplier Catalog with my specific pricing, and I can also see branch availability as well. So back to the first thing we talked about, can I see my products? Can I see my pricing? Is it available? If I was to sell it now, can I install this tomorrow? Is sort of the goal that we're driving for, right? And we also did an integration with AHRI, so we can pull in the AHRI matchups. So you might say, search for an outside unit, right? It'll give you the furnace and the coil that goes with it. The system does that, so you know sort of what systems match up. Then we built a whole mechanism for folks to, I made the joke earlier about the guy that wrote the information down the back of a piece of cardboard, right? Because I've grew up in the contracting space. I've had a 2x4 with a list of important information on it, right? I've been there. So we built a whole mechanism for them to sort of do it once, save it, or favorite it, people say, right? So I can reuse that information over and over and over and over again. So example, I might be working in a neighborhood, and I look at these homes, and they're all similar size and stature, right? And I have to install one here, install one down the street. They're going to refer me to their friend around the corner. Well, I've got that information on that one customer saved, so I could reuse that information, reorder it. So effectively, if I'm purchasing these products from Daikin quite often, I might have a favorited purchase order with those 3 pieces of equipment and everything I need to install that equipment on that one favorited purchase order. So the next time I sell it, if my back office does my purchasing for me, they don't have to ask me, what am I supposed to buy again for this? Because it's just use that. If I sold, say, a 2.5 ton air conditioning system, right? Just use a 2.5 ton air conditioning system purchase order and place that purchase order for me.
Right.
So it streamlines the back office as well, which I know we've talked in the past about labor issues and other things like that. Right now you can have someone that doesn't know anything about HVAC equipment, but they know to place the favorited purchase order. They can do that for you. Right? So they don't have to come back to you. Wait, what am I supposed to get? What else do I need? Do I have everything written down? Do I have everything I need? So you think of the assurity of your install crew going out, knowing that all the parts and pieces they need to install this HVAC equipment was ordered and either delivered or they picked up in a package, maybe on a pallet or something, but everything's there. So that just drives that efficiency that you get off of this integration. That's one way that we're working on it.
So you mentioned you have all the product data, you actually have all my pricing in there, and you have the availability. What happens when the price changes? So
price changes. If your TSM comes to you and says, hey, the price has changed, or the branch lets you know the price has changed, because it's a real-time API interaction with the Daikin, which is called your Mincron system, which is the back-end system that all this information is in at Daikin. We're integrated into that directly. So if the price changes, if your TSM comes and tells you your price has changed, it'll be changed in Payzerware as well. So If it's in the Mincron system, it's inside Payzerware. So if the branch is looking at it, what's your price, and you're looking at it, say using Payzerware, you're going to see the same price. All that's going to move through.
That really makes my job a lot easier as a contractor. I can focus on what the problem is, communicating with the customer, fixing it, and I don't have to worry about all the back end math and everything that's happening. Talk a little bit about then the financing piece being integrated in there and what you're seeing with financing adoption when one of the selling technicians or the comfort advisors using this platform in the field.
So there's a couple of steps to get to that, and if I may, I'll detail those, and then we'll talk about the impact of that as well. Okay, so if we're listening to this on the radio, you're not seeing the video. I'm going to try and paint a picture for you all. Okay, so the Daikin supplier catalog is inside Payzerware. So you actually go to the buy parts section of Payzerware, and that's where you'd select Daikin as my supplier. And you'd see the catalog there. And it looks Amazon-esque, right? It's got tiles with pictures and little summaries of products, but you can click into each one and see more detail. It's got filters on the left-hand side, so you could filter off of, unitary equipment or coils or line sets, whatever it is you're looking for, you can run that. Or it's got this dynamic search where you could start typing and things start popping up, so you can use it that way. There's also list view too. Some folks like to see a list view. They like that better than the big pictures and the tiles. So either way, you can get comfortable, set your view of it. Now, with all of that data inside the Daikin supplier catalog, from there, we can take that and build a consumer-facing price book. So if you're a contractor, you might say, I want to see my price book, right? That price book we can build for you. We have to ask you a few questions, okay? What's your markup multiplier? And you might respond to me and say, well, a $5 item gets marked up differently than a $1,000 item. Correct, right, we understand that. So we have this sort of scaling mechanism to do the proper markups. And I'm making this sort of simple and easy, but it's not too much work for the contractor. We just have to ask them a few questions. But then maybe they use QuickBooks too. So we'd ask them, what QuickBooks account do you want this to sync down into? Because you can sync your QuickBooks account both online and desktop with Payzerware as well. So we find out a couple of those questions, and then we let the computer do its work, right? And it builds out your price book for you. So it takes say $2,000, let's just use simple math, a $2,000 system that you might be buying from Daikin, and prices that at $6,000 that you would sell it to the homeowner for, right? Or $4,000 and $12,000, whatever it does. But it does all that math and work for you, so you don't have to worry about it, right? So all the price book is built out. Now that can be a lot of work. The reason we're doing this is because we have found it takes time for folks to build out their full price book. And oftentimes we find contractors can get through 50% of it. They might build out their equipment, but never build out all their parts.
Right.
And I want to build every single piece out. So when they look at their job costing and see their profit margins, they can nail it, down to the penny. Because we all know the true profit of a business is in those last few percentage points is really where you make it or break it, right? So we want to be very precise for folks. So you get the Daikin supplier catalog. We then build your consumer-facing, your contractor price book for you. So that's in the price book section. Now from there, those products that live in your price book that are fully marked up for consumer usage, right? You can put those on invoices and take payments. Or you could build proposals or proposal comparisons from them. So how that works in our system, I go to build a proposal, pop up the proposal section, hit add item, and it'll then from there pops up the module that says, where do you want to add this from? We have options, right? You have your QuickBooks items list. Some folks have it there. You want to add it from your Daikin price book, basically, right? I then select the item from there and I add it to the proposal. Then I might add 3 or 4 different, I might add, let's add 3 units of the matchup, right? So I'm pulling in a 2.5 ton, Amana system, right? And I'll have my furnace, my coil, my outdoor unit, and then I'm going to have a pad, a line set, a bunch of other nuts and bolts pieces, things like that. I might call those my install kit. So our price book gives you the availability to bundle products, and that could be the traditional AHRI match system, or it could be your install kit, which could have 25 different things in it, right? So now I put those line items on the proposal, add item, add item, add item. I build it. And then I'll pick a featured image. So I might just want to show the outdoor unit because that's what the homeowner is going to see, right? That's why after I install it, they're going to go out and look and go, oh yeah, that looks like what he showed me he was going to sell me. They don't really crawl in the attic and look at the coil, right? They'll look at the outdoor unit. So a lot of folks pick that as the featured image. Then you've got all these descriptions. You can add maintenance plans to it for the homeowner to select to be a part of the maintenance plan. And this is where the financing comes in. So I can take, say that whole thing all combined is $12,000. Then I want to select a loan. So we've got a multitude of different lenders, Green Sky and such, right? Those folks. You pick the loan that you want to offer. And what that does on the proposal is converts that $12,000 number to $154 a month, right? So that's one proposal. And then from there, I can show that to a homeowner. They can interact with it on my iPad or my laptop. I could also email it to them. They can interact with it on their own computer. I can also text it to them. They could interact with it on their phone if they want to. When I say interact, that means they could select yes, like they thumb up different recommendations. So I might have an IAQ item on there. I might have a different thermostat that they could select. And then every time they do that, it updates the price automatically and it updates the monthly payment. So if you want to let the homeowner play with it, they're like, oh, I want that thermostat. I want this, add that. Oh, it's only $8 more per month. Okay, yeah, let's do those things, right? So that's all that how that works. Now the proposal, everybody wants to do proposal comparisons, right? So I was with a bunch of contractors last week. They said, we only want to do a repair and a replace. We only want to do 2. I said, okay, fine. You can do 2. Traditionally, I see 3 or 4. Well, we built up to 6. So you can do a single proposal. You could do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 comparisons, whatever you want, right? No one's ever really asked me for more than 4, but the way you do the landscape when you build technology, it looks nice with 6. So we built it out to 6 to let them choose. But how that presents itself on the phone, the comparison is if I'm thumbing my thumb, just swiping left or right, here's one proposal, second proposal, third proposal. If I have an iPad and I turn it sideways, I've got 3 across the board. So you let the homeowner look at their options. And that's where you get the integration. So the data has pulled through, right? The last piece you've had to build, you've got the Daikin supplier catalog. We do that for you. That's in there with your cost. Then we do your price book for you. So that prices your products properly for your homeowners with proper margins for yourself, right? The last thing we have folks doing now is building out those proposals. Well, we're just launching this integration this year. My goal is to where we can start to build those proposals for folks as well, and then have the data to back it up. So if I'm a contractor and I want to see what's my best selling, good, better, best proposal, maybe even in that neighborhood, right? You can be armed with data. So when you go full digital like this, you get the data that helps direct you. So I always say data sets me free. I can think whatever the answer is, but then the data tells me, you're wrong. It's really this way, right? So that's the kind of the future that we build too as this technological adoption goes on. But to drive ease and convenience, right? I'm trying to take manual workloads off of the contractors today, right? From simply ordering, you don't have to make the phone call anymore. You don't have to, every time you go to plate, you sell that. You don't have to every time build out that purchase order again, right? And then place it again. You don't have to call your TSM and say, hey, what do I need? I sold this 2.5 ton system. Again, what do I need? What's my price on it? And then he's got to do that work, right? So we're trying to take that manual work out of the ecosystem to make it more streamlined so dealers can move faster. And also, like I mentioned, my first example, operate at 7 o'clock at night when you're in front of the homeowner, right? So that's the image that you can think of. So, okay, I'm outside. I assessed. I've gone through the home. I know what they need. They need my 2.5 ton system. Okay, so I'm going to check. I've got a good, better, best already favorited that I'm going to show them in just a moment when I walk inside. But everybody always picks that middle one. So let me just make sure that's all in stock. Yep, it's all in stock. Confirm my price hasn't changed since last time I looked at it. Yep, that looks good to me. Okay, let me go inside and present this to the homeowner. I give them my good, better, best. They pick the one in the middle like everybody else does. And I say, great, fantastic. I could order that right now. and it looks like my install crew could be out here at about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning and start working on it for you. I mean, that homeowner's saying yes, right? And you got that sale. And then all you do is go into the system where you have that favorited purchase order, copy that purchase order over to the job, and place the order. And that goes into the branch. So the back end of this integration is everything's normal at the branch. Nothing changes for the guys at the branch. They just get the order. It comes through into the Maincron system. They interact with it. Either they're delivering it or they're packaging it up for you to come pick it up. All that works the same. We didn't change anything on the branch side except not have to have them take a phone call in order to start the ordering process.
That reduces mistakes. You're going to get everything that you always had in that install kit instead of that new counter person where you call one thing, and they think of it as another thing. It definitely streamlines because now you know what's in stock and you have that available. Reduces the amount of time that your guys have at the counter because they're not going in there and placing the order. They're actually just going in there and getting in and out.
Right.
And it ensures your pricing integrity all through the whole entire system.
Yeah.
And using the software, it's going to force them to make sure that they're at least talking about financing every single time they're out there.
Yeah, because you as the boss put that on the proposal that you gave them to use, and you saved it because you don't meet many field sales or selling technicians that want to rebuild a proposal on their own, right? That's why there's been a practice. I mean, why did we build that portion? Because we know I've met them, and I'm like, I'm talking to a fellow who's 36 years old. He's taking over for dad, right? And I'm like, where's your pricing? He's like, it's in his head.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, so how does a sale work? Well, everyone's got to call back in, talk to him first. Then he prices it out and then puts it out. I'm like, well, why is he doing that? Because he wants pricing control. Right. He wants to make sure jobs are all getting priced properly. Well, now you can take dad's head, download it into the software, and have everyone in the company use that pricing because they don't have a way to edit it. That's the way we've built the software. There are editing functions for admin users, right? Admin and some office users can edit a few things. But the boss, the owner, he can set his pricing and let his guys go sell. So it enables them in the field. It enables a better consumer experience. Like back to the homeowner going like, what do you mean you can't tell me how you're going to fix this or what my price is? You're going to call me back? Like, that's not how my world works. Like everything's instant for me, right? So now you can get that pricing assurity and that good customer experience that you're driving for, where the homeowner's like, wow, this guy came out here, told me what my problem was, told me what the fix was. We executed the transaction. He's coming tomorrow to install it. If that's the customer experience, they are recommending you to their neighbors and friends.
Absolutely.
There's nothing better than that, right? It's like instant. Oh, my air conditioning's back on is how they think, right? That's the kind of experience that you're driving for, and you get the referrals.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any last words of advice that you have for our contracting base out there?
Yeah, I'll say making the adoption of the technology, because I'm out there all over the country, and still I find about 30% of the contracting population has moved to the cloud, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, I went on a little exercise here recently, trying to do not so much the undercover boss thing, but going out to our customers and asking them, how is the software helping you? How are you being successful? Mm-hmm. Did I deliver what the vision was? And where I got the vision was from the contractors, from you folks listening to this podcast today. Everybody tells me what they want. I have to interpret that, then build it in software, bring it back to them. And is it achieving it? So we have this 6-minute long video, about 8 contractors answering that question. How did it help you? Now, there's 45 minutes of content, right, to every one of those individual videos, but we put some snippets together. And I recently had the opportunity to play this for some contractors, about 35 guys in the room, and played the video during a presentation. I said, do any of you resonate with something that those guys said? And all the heads shook in the room, right? And then I said, does anybody want to offer something up, speak something up about how maybe it personally affected you? And everyone's like crickets. Because it's a challenging thing to think about and talk about and transition your business. And in the past, if this was 15 years ago, maybe 20, it's scary. It's hard. The software may or may not deliver, right? But the modern cloud-based technology now is delivering on the visions that we've all had as an industry. It would be great if it did this way. Like all of that is happening now. So if you're out there listening and you're not on the modern cloud-based software yet, now is the time where you really have to make the jump. You've got to get there. It's easier than ever. It will not be that hard. Company like Payzer, we try and do, if there's heavy lifting, we try and do it for you because we know you're busy. We want to make, just like we want you, I described that homeowner buying experience, right? We want our contractors to say, boy, that was simple. It was pretty easy. I synced my QuickBooks. They helped me out. They trained me up. They did all these things for me. And we've got all the digital ways to train. Difference with us is we still have people. We still have a human element to our business where when you need help, call us. We'll walk you through it. We'll teach you how to do it, right? So that's the closing thing. It's this digitization. Daikin has done a tremendous job. The only reason we can do this integration is because of all the work Daikin has put in to make their e-commerce system. It's the equivalent of the modern cloud-based software as well, right? Many of the competitors out there have not made the investments or not further along as Daikin is. Daikin has the capability to really enable something for an FSM like us to connect to it and for it to deliver on that vision. So in my closing marks is if you're out there on cloud-based software, love for you to consider us. But if you're thinking of making the move, you got to make the move now. Now's the time to make the move. And it will be easier than you imagine, right? It's not as hard as it was, and the transition process is seamless. And then you can have this experience. And again, think about the consumers you're selling to. What Ben and I laid out here, that's what their life is, and that's what they expect. And when they don't get that from you, it's subpar, they don't recommend you, right? So now is the time to really make that jump and that leap.
Doug, thank you so much. And for all of you out there, if you liked this episode, please go ahead and press the like button, and also follow us so that you can stay informed of all of the upcoming episodes that we have. Doug, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
Yeah.